Hey, it's Scott. Welcome to my channel, Sam Marcus Makes. Today we are going to be making jerk beef. Had a couple people ask for some more Instant Pot recipes. This recipe could easily be done in a slow cooker. It could also be done in a stovetop. We're going to do it in an Instant Pot. I wouldn't call it a weeknight meal, but you could if you had enough time. We're tops cooking this for right at about an hour and a half at the absolute most. So the first thing we want to do is we just want to get our Instant Pot on, and we want to preheat it. So Instant Pots heat up very quickly. So get this going on, get it heated before we get our meat in there. Let's talk about meat real quick. I'm going to use a chuck roast, but you can use any type of roast that you want to work. It's all going to work. You don't want a ton of fat on here, but a little fat will definitely help. But I'm going to cut this up into a little bit more manageable chunks so I can get a good sear on all of these. So there's no right or wrong. Just cut them into couple inch size pieces. So this is what we're looking for, about that size. So I'm going to do that to the rest of the beef. All right, once you have it all cut up, we definitely want to season it, so I'm going to use a little bit of kosher salt. Make sure you hit every side. Don't want one-sided tasting food. And then after we do that, same thing with the pepper. A little bit of pepper on every side. Once it's warmed up just a little bit, I'm going to put just a tad bit of oil. If it has a lot of fat, you don't have to worry about it. Mine's got a little bit, so I'm just putting, at most a tablespoon. But I want to get my pieces of meat in there. Now we're obviously not trying to cook the meat. Just trying to get a good bit of fawn on here to start establishing that flavor. 2-3 minutes per side, and definitely 2 sides is plenty. We're not trying to cook it here. We're just trying to build up that flavor. So this has set for about 2 minutes. Look at that. That's exactly what you're wanting there. Nice brown, establishing that good fawn. Got at least 2 sides brown. We're gonna take this meat out so that we can get the other 3 pieces in there. And we're gonna repeat this process until you have all your meat cooked. Don't crowd the pan. We want that brown bit to be going on in there. So last batch is done. So we're gonna get that out. Now you're gonna see all this wonderful fawn. That is flavor. First thing we want to do is deglaze a little bit. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of my broth and just use that to kind of scrape down a little bit. But we're also going to put in a total of 2 cups of beef broth, beef stock, something that homemade, canned, it ain't going to matter. We're also going to add the juice of a jar of pepperoncinis. Now, you'll see a lot of people also put the peppers in there. I will add the peppers probably towards the end, but I think it kind of adds a little bitterness to it as it cooks. So I do not put it in there, but I'm basically adding about a cup of juice, somewhere in that ballpark. So 3 total cups of liquid in that. Next thing I want to do is add some of my flavorings. So, of course, we can add garlic. Now you can use whole cloves. Just for simplicity, I'm going to add just some granular garlic. Same thing with the onion powder. I've done this where I put the actual onions in, the garlic in, we're making this quick today. Also gonna add some Italian seasoning. So your typical Italian seasoning, all of that's about a tablespoon. We're cooking, we're not baking. We don't have to be exact. Also want to add some MSG. Most common MSG you're gonna find in a grocery store is Accent. MSG is such a good flavoring. Think salt without being salt. So we'll add about a teaspoon of that. And we'll probably go ahead and add just a little bit more pepper. Last thing we want to do is get the meat in there. Now this meat does not have to be covered up. Whoop. And it is basically all setting in the water. But remember that plate? That's flavor right there. Gotta add that. Last thing you want to do, get the lid on. If you're using an Instant Pot, get that on. Make sure you're on sealing mode. So we're gonna do high heat, high pressure, and we're gonna go for 1 hour. Only other ingredient that you have to have is some kind of bread. In my mind, this being a kind of a wet sandwich, you want something that can stand up to that. So I have, and I'm such a white guy. I know I'm butchering this name, but Bolio's, I have no idea if that's how you say it, but it is a kind of crusty white bread. If you are anywhere near an HEB, you'll see these, and they're like $1/4 a piece. They're fantastic, but they can hold up to this. When I get closer, I'm gonna think kind of like either hot dog style and either slice them right down the top. You can also cut them all the way. We're gonna also be making kind of an au jus, so we want to be able to dip it. So all of that needs to be kind of think of. A regular piece of bread is not gonna work for this. You need something that has a little bit of a crust. You could definitely even toast these. Though I will say, this meat is plenty good just to eat by itself. So if you're wanting to do the low carb, keto kind of thing, you don't need this. This just makes it better. So do something for your bread. Or don't. So the timer has gone off and we've done a natural release. Let's see what we got. Now, first thing we want to do is get the meat out. Now, this is going to be falling apart, which realistically, that's what we want. So let's get all this meat out. So after you've got all of the meat out, and it's okay if there's still a little bitty pieces in there, we're going to put this on saute and we're going to reduce. So you're going to reduce it down probably about half, but somewhere in there. We want to concentrate those flavors as much as possible. So while it is reducing, you're just going to shred this meat. So there's 2 forks, and you just want to basically get it as shredded as possible. When it's this tender, I find that if you just simply press down on it, it's probably all you'll need to do. But if you need to pull it like you would a pulled pork, so this is how pulled you want to make it. So you can see in the Instant Pot, I have brought this back up to boil, and we want to cook this. It's probably going to take at least 10 minutes to reduce it to what we want to do it, where we want it to be. At that point, it will be up to you, your next step. Some people will want to leave the beef alone and make their sandwich that way. It'll be a little less moist if you do it that way. I like when I build my sandwiches, after I get the juice where I want it to be, I will add the meat back into the juice, and when I serve it, I'm gonna bring it out. And then I will also have like a little dish for my juice. So let's get this reduced, and then we'll make our sandwiches. So our sauce or juice or au jus, whatever you want to think of it as, has reduced. I like to keep the shredded meat in the juice. So I'm going to put all of that back in there. and plate it up. So I gonna use this Bolio roll. Want to create like a little pocket. Then gonna take some meat here, and I'm gonna drain it off just a little bit, and we're gonna set it in there as much as you like. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Set that down. Also with a ladle, got some of that reduced sauce, and we get to try it. We are all done. Man, does this look good. Cannot wait to go for it. Definitely make sure you have the sauce to dip, because the meat is good, but man, that sauce is great. Oh yeah, like every time you gotta dip it in there. There's so much flavor going on with that pepperoncini juice and all of the herbs that you add. And it's just meat. Yeah, that is beautiful. Don't forget some pepperoncinis if you like them. Cut them up, put them around top. Perfect. Which I definitely like the freshness of them just right out of the jar instead of cooked, but you could definitely cook them. This is a really, really good meal. I hope you try it. Try it many of the different ways. Let me know what you think. If you liked it, definitely please give me a like. Consider subscribing to the channel. We do a lot of these videos like this. Hope you enjoyed it though. But please always remember, beans do not go in chili. Come on, we invented it, Texas. We never put it in there. Okra does not go in gumbo. Learn to make a roux. You don't need okra to thicken your gumbo, but it is perfectly fine to put pineapple on pizza. It tastes better. Pineapple's good.